Hello everybody and welcome back to TTTV. This is TTG F1 and round 2 brings us to the Gilles Villeneuve circuit at the Canadian Grand Prix. My name is Kieran McGinley and you've joined us here. I've had no time to get everything ready because, as you've probably seen, basically I've had to restart my whole console and yeah, it would let me start the stream and then not stop the started stream, but it wouldn't actually start streaming. Very confusing. However, we're here now and we are live for the Canadian Grand Prix. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being so patient. And yeah, we're waiting here to see how this unravels. Thank you for joining us. Also, if you missed it on Tuesday, TTG F2, I get to have a little bit of a plug in there because I managed to secure a podium. Where did that come from? No idea. However, I was very happy about it. And now I'm an expert at this track because I've done a full 35 laps around this circuit. I know what the strategy is. I know everything about it. Although we had a wet qualifying that dried up towards the end. I wonder what it's going to be like for the dries here. Ah! Pretty much the same. In fact, we went out on intermediate tyres. And yeah, the guys here are on intermediate tyres as well. So is it going to be similar weather to what happened last time around, I wonder? What are the chances? There was rain forecast at the end of the race, but the rain didn't come until after the race had ended. So, looking good here in this awful weather here. Hyping up the Canadian Grand Prix this weekend as well. I'm looking forward to this. But Canada is one of my favourite circuits on the calendar. It's you know, I love it to bits, and yeah, it holds a special place in my heart for me. Wet Inters quali and a wet race, says the weatherman Alan Kay in the pits there. So, yeah, you'd have to go for a wet setup then, surely. But yeah, don't be surprised to see some of the guys here waiting to get out onto the track and waiting for the rain to subside and maybe ease off a little bit before they head out onto the track. There was people in there saying, well, Gabriel mainly saying, we can hear you. Yes, you could, because I'd only just got on there. I was desperate to start the stream and I hadn't started a party yet, so that's why you could hear me. I know it's weird hearing me. I know people don't like to do it. However, it has to be done. Aaron Collingwood, one of the drivers today, saying hi. Hello, Alan. Alan. What's your name? Collingwood. There you go. Good evening to you, Collingwood. In the McLaren, 7th place in the standings on this game, apparently. But no one's left the track yet. Alan Kay saying good evening to me. Hello, Alan. Looking forward to seeing how you perform in the wet. And Maze with a checkered flag emoji. Why not? Yeah, it's been a very quiet pit lane, although we are seeing someone emerge there from the pit lane. That looks like a Williams to me, and if I'm not mistaken, that looks to be Ivan, who will be the first person out onto track, and it is. So Ivan then making his way out of this pit lane. Now the pit entry at this track is, well, it's going to be interesting to see how the drivers tackle it. Of course, it's right in the braking zone towards the final chicane, and Ivan there is quickly figuring out that there's not a lot of grip out here. And what do the drivers go for then? Do they go for the wet setup and see how it goes? Or do they go for a dry setup? Do they go for a dry setup and hopefully in the race the rain eases off? Or do they just go for the risk and say, you know what, it's going to be wet for the entire time, go for a wet setup, we'll be quick all weekend? Ivan then on his out lap. Poe has also joined us out on circuit now, heading towards turn 6 and 7. And I know all about this track now, like the back of my hand. I'm honoured to basically race it the week before, the 2 days before, and the hairpin here. Obviously, the scene of where Kubica had his massive accident back in 2007. Came back in 2008, the following year, to then secure his one and only Formula 1 win in a championship where BMW decided halfway through the championship battle where they were leading it, they thought, we'll focus on next year's car. And what a risk and a gamble that turned out to be. Ivan then heading in towards the final chicane and on towards the start-finish line. And it looks like Ivan here will be the first person to set a lap time. And intermediates here, the rain looks quite heavy out there, so drivers going out on the intermediate tyres, it's brave of them for sure. Morn out there in 12th place at the moment, and of course try and bring you the standings when they load up on my phone. Oh, Ivan hitting the wall there as Fernando Alonso did back in 2005. although he hit the rear tyre onto the wall and damaged the suspension completely. Here he goes then onto the short run, on towards turns 8 and 9. Tricky set of corners in the wet as well. These curbs are not your friend through the wet there. You can see the back end wanting to step out as we head now towards turn 10. And last time out it was Lambo winning the race. Big C was in second, Vanquish was in third. And I believe none of those three are out on track yet, so they are just waiting for this rain to basically subside. The full championship standings then are the results from round number 1. Lambo on 25 points, Big C on 18, Vanquish 15, White on 12, Morn in 10, Charlie on 8 points, Collingwood 6 points, Poe 4 points, Jack in 92 points, and Ollie lone point, finishing 10th last time out. Ivan there actually invalidating his lap time. It's a different strategy when you come to qualifying in the wet. Normally what I do is fuel the car up, put on a set of tyres and go out there for about 3 or 4 laps. Because then the intermediates really start to get used to the circuit. You actually start dispersing the water and you can find that it gets a little bit easier out there. Vanquish now heading out to the circuit, 3rd place in the championship. Of course it is a very short season. You only got 4 rounds in this season. And Ivan has a 5-place grid penalty for a severe collision with Alan Kay. So that will be added to his qualifying session this time around. So what on earth happened there? In that drama then, Morn 1:19.5 on a set of intermediate tyres. That's around about 12-13 seconds off the dry pace that we were expecting from some of these guys. As he makes his way now through turn 7 there on the exit, just getting a little bit oversteery on the exit as we now head towards turns 8 and 9. As you'll notice, it is just me in the commentary box this week. Unfortunately, Andy has to do this thing called work, and unfortunately he won't be able to make it tonight. But I'm looking forward to this Canadian Grand Prix. After this we have Austria, another short track, and then the season finale, or the series finale if you like, is at the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. But that is 2 weeks away. We're focused on today. Morn here, making his way down towards the chicane. This infamous Wall of Champions, where in 1999 it claimed 3 drivers here in Damon Hill, Michael Schumacher and Jacques Villeneuve. They all crashed into that wall in the same race, and thus it got its name. More than 118.8 is the new fastest lap of the session. There is a pink Force India out to track. That is Ollie, 1 point so far this season in this championship. And you can see there the sun is trying to poke through, so it's a good sign then that the rain will probably subside later on in this session. But at the same time, who will be wanting that? I wonder if some of the drivers here will actually hope that it stays wet for the entire race. I know some of the drivers here will be hoping for a bit of rain. When you get a bit of rain, it kind of balances everything out, and it kind of brings everything back onto the same page. But obviously when it's wet, the car gets a little bit more difficult to control, and you're controlling a car that weighs over 1,000 kilograms, that has, well, more than 800 horsepower, lots of torque going to the rear wheels, and on top of that you've got a hybrid engine which itself makes about 120 horsepower as well. So it's a very, very powerful car, and all of it goes to the rear wheels, so you've got to be very careful, especially in these wet conditions. Although these specially designed intermediate and full wet tyres can help you, they're not designed to basically keep you planted on the track in these slippery conditions. Vanquish then making his way towards turns 8 and 9 as he makes his way through, and Lambo is out of qualifying. I'm just trying to figure out where he is out on track. It was in sector 2. Big C getting a big tack slapper out of turn 2 and almost drifting it then towards turns 3 and 4. But he manages to keep it going in the right direction, heading out through the fast turn 5 and on towards turn 6 and 7. As the rain keeps coming down, actually it looks a little lighter than it was at the start of the session. Only a little lighter at the moment though. The rain is definitely easing off a little bit. But Big C now making his way to turns 8 and 9, and that's a really awkward line from Big C there. He might find that that lap is invalidated as he now makes his way towards turn 10, but as you can see, he's going to keep going with it and locking up into turn 10. But then it allows him to, although it's a later entry, he can cut back and get an earlier exit, which along a straight like this, where you're on the full throttle for about 15 seconds, you know, that really does help you in terms of building up that speed towards the final chicane. Poe then going quickest, 1:18.1. Here comes Big C through that chicane, and I see a bit of debris on the exit of that chicane then. Looks like Lambo's probably put it into the wall of champions. Collingwood then second place, 1:18.210. Big C 1:18.3, that puts him in third. White there 1:18.7, that puts him in fourth place. Morn then sixth place, that puts him down to. Iceman is now in seventh place as he makes his way now towards the line. Can he improve on a 1:20.2? Looks like he will do. He does. It's a 1:19.5, and it still doesn't put him up the position. And Lambo has confirmed then that the Wall of Champions has claimed its first car, and it is in the form of Lambo, so he'll be hoping that he doesn't get pushed too far down. He risks now starting in 15th place. Francis then making his way now through the final chicane, getting a little bit tail happy on the exit. On the run now towards the start-finish line, and it's no improvement then for Francis. Ivan then sets a lap time, 1:20.2. I don't think that's a representative one. I think he just wanted to get a lap time on the board. Raikkonen there out there, exiting turn 2. You've got Ollie making his way now down the back straight towards that final chicane. As Poe 1:17.6, you can see the rain's easing off here. There's less water on that racing line, and so the drivers are getting more and more confident in these conditions in their cars, and the tyres actually getting a lot more grip now. Here comes Ollie towards the start-finish line. He goes 5th fastest at the moment. Onyx making his way now through the final chicane. Oh, a little bit of oversteer on the exit. The car was not happy with that, but Onyx heads towards the line. It's a 1:17.9, but it has been invalidated, so no joy for him there, as he decides not to take turns 1 and 2 whatsoever. Raikkonen now coming through turn 10 through the hairpin. Got to be careful on the exit here, as you can see Raikkonen struggling to keep that car under control. Somehow he managed it though, and he makes his way now down towards that chicane with his teammate in front of him. He'll get a little bit of tow down towards the braking zone. Yellow flags in sector 3. That probably is the Renault, I believe, in the background that was backing off. Here comes Raikkonen then towards the line, and it is an invalidated lap, so he's got to go again. There's Charlie now making his way now in towards turn 5, this fast right-hander, and then on towards turn 6 and 7. Looking good out there. A little bit of oversteer on the exit. But he's able to keep the car going forwards, and that's important. Heading now down towards 8 and 9. And let's see who you're supporting tonight. Who do you want to win? Who are you backing for tonight's race? Let us know in the live stream chat. Maybe you're racing tonight. You're having the stream open and seeing how everybody else is getting on. Welcome. Let us know how you're getting on, and if you set a bad lap time, set a good lap time, I'd like to know. It lets me have a little bit more information. Here comes Charlie then, making his way now towards the final chicane in the Force India. What can he do now? Making his way through that final chicane. Almost, in fact he did touch the Wall of Champions there. Here comes Charlie then, making his way towards that start-finish line. It's a 1:21.0 from Charlie. Francis there then making his way through the final chicane. A little bit of oversteer once again out of the final corner. And can Francis set a valid lap time? 1:17.5 again. It does not count. That would have been the quickest lap of the session, but obviously it needs to be a valid lap. Alan Kay is turned around there on the start-finish straight. Now that's an odd one. Might have just clipped the curb, and that might have just sent him all the way around. But whatever reason, then Alan Kay's been in the wall, and he'll have to now limp back to the pit lane. We've got just over 4 minutes and 40 seconds to go in the session. Poe is on provisional pole. White is in second, Collingwood third, Big C fourth, Ollie fifth, Vanquish in 6th, Morn in 7th, Ivan 8th, Iceman in 9th, Charlie in 10th, Lambo, who crashed out the Wall of Champions, he's currently classified as 11th, with Francis in 12th, Raikkonen 13th, Onyx 14th, and Alan Kane 15th, although 12th to 15th at the moment have not set valid lap times. Here comes Francis then, now towards that chicane, which has caught out so many drivers in the past. It's called out Lambo today, it's called out the likes of Schumacher, the likes of Damon Hill, Jacques Villeneuve, and drivers who aren't champions either. So if you lose it there, then you're in good company. Down through turns 3 and 4. Now turn 3 and 4 is an interesting one here. The braking zone obviously is a bit earlier than you think because you actually go downhill. The apex is actually going downhill. But you've got to be careful because too much of the grass on the inside, you get yourself a warning. Too much grass on the inside of 4 and you get a warning. So you've got to really take the perfect line through turns 3 and 4 in order to not only maximise your lap time, but in order to not get those penalties and not get those warnings that you need to avoid, especially at a circuit like this where it's so easy to pick up some warnings. And I know Sean will be very happy to have me reveal that he had a 12-second penalty last time out, but 5 of those, I believe, I heard it was 12 seconds over my radio. That's what my engineer told me. 5 of those were for a stop-go penalty, so I'm not sure how the other 8 were awarded. Don't ask me how, I don't know. Or 7 seconds, however you maths. I don't know how the other 7 seconds were worked out to be, but anyway, we're seeing Nexus Iceman here making his way towards turns 8 and 9 as he flies through here. Obviously these tricky conditions. Andy in the chat there saying, "Evening Kieran, it's a bit wet tonight, is it not? Should make for an interesting race as well." Yes, it should. Considering the race is forecast to be wet, we're looking forward to this one. So a bit higher downforce than probably the drivers are familiar with. But yeah, a soggy Canadian Grand Prix is what's coming up, and I don't mind that one bit. Obviously, we've seen some fantastic races that have been affected by the rain. 2011 comes to mind, where Jenson Button was in literally every single position on track. All 22 positions he used, as Iceman once again comes across the line, 1:19.8. That's actually slower than his fastest lap so far. Yeah, 2011, where Jenson Button had 6 stops, and 2 of those were penalties. Yeah, he had a drive-through penalty for the incident with Hamilton, and he had something for someone. He had another drive-through for another reason. Can you remember what it was? I'd be interested and intrigued to see if people know. But anyway, he did have that incident with Hamilton. There was something else he did as well. It involved a Ferrari. What am I saying that for? Anyway, Onyx now heading his way down towards turn 10, in towards the hairpin. Currently second place, 1:17.695. It's 0.05 of a second that separate Poe and Onyx. Just over a minute to go then. You see drivers retiring because they realise there's not enough time for them to do another lap. So Onyx then heading his way towards the chicane. Now can he improve on his 1:17.6 and try and get onto pole position? Here he comes in towards that start-finish line. It's a 1:19.5. So he has to go again. And he's got that luxury of doing it as well. We've got a Haas there in front of White here. I'm just trying to see that. That is Iceman. Just saw the fading tag there. Let's see how Iceman gets on. He stays P10. How about White? 1:18.4. Again, maybe the drivers here are just preparing for their final lap of the session. Francis is having a bit of a nightmare right now. He just can't seem to find a valid lap out there. Through the chicane he goes. Losing that back end slightly as he makes his way towards the start-finish line. Can he set a valid lap time? Yes, he can. It's a 1:17.3. He got there in the end, but now he's got the fastest lap of the session, which is instantly bettered. 1:16.9 by Poe in the Renault, and he now puts himself on provisional pole position. It seems to be a case here that last to get to the checkered flag will probably have the best chance of setting the fastest lap time. I had that in my qualifying session on Tuesday. White here knows this is now or never. He's got Iceman ahead of him. He might give him a chance to get some slipstream. Big D retires from the session then, 1:18.3. That's enough for 8th place. We'll see if Iceman can better that one. He's on a 1:19.5 at the moment. You can see then the Haas is ahead of this Renault we're running on board with now. White, as they make their way down towards the chicane. That wall of champions looming on your fastest lap. There is a deterrent. Iceman going through the chicane. And you can see how much time White gained on him through the chicane alone. Here they both come now towards that start-finish line. Iceman does go up to 10th place. White can't improve. So that's that then. Onyx then, 3rd place for Onyx at the moment. How about Morn? He's run out of fuel out on circuit. Francis and Poe are still out there then. Looks like Francis has gone quicker. 1:16.7 for Francis. Great lap time. And Poe on that one has retired from the session. And with Morn there trying to limp home in low fuel mode. Everybody then has set their lap time. So it will be Francis who grabs pole position. 1:16.7 in these changing conditions. And you can see how much the rain has actually eased off in the last couple of minutes. It's Poe in second then, 1:16.9. Couldn't improve, or maybe didn't have the fuel to do it. Onyx 1:17.6. He said he invalidated at 1:17.0, but it wouldn't have got him any higher in the position. So yeah, count yourself lucky there, Onyx. White then 1:17.7, 4th place. Morn then making his way slowly back towards the pit lane, 1:17.9. We got Vanquish there, 1:18.0. Collingwood 1:18.2. Big C 1:18.3. Ollie 1:18.6, Nexus Iceman 1:19.0, Ivan 1:19.1, Charlie 1:21.0, and then Lambo, Raikkonen and Alan Kay did not set lap times. We saw, well, we didn't actually see Lambo, but he reported it in the stream chat that he did make contact and crashed out at the Wall of Champions. So right now then, that is your qualifying lineup for the Canadian Grand Prix. And when we head towards the Canadian Grand Prix, we're expecting a bit of rain on the side. But there is your pole sitter, Francis. Pole position then for the Canadian Grand Prix. So as we see me getting XP for just watching that qualifying session. Let's see the qualifying results then, because we do have a penalty at least to add on to that. Francis then grabs pole position. Poe in second, Onyx third, White in fourth, Morn fifth, Vanquish sixth, Collingwood seventh, Big C eighth, Ollie in ninth, Iceman 10th, Ivan 11th, Charlie 12th, Lambo 13th, Raikkonen 14th, Alan Kay 15th, and both Ivan and Alan Kay have 5-place grid penalties. That means Ivan will drop to 14th and Alan Kay will be starting in 15th place. Well, I do hope you're going to enjoy the stream tonight. I hope you're going to enjoy the one-man team of me. But it looks like Andy is watching along, so thank you, Andy. Welcome. I hope work's going okay. You're missing out on this one. He will be back at round 4 if anybody's wanting to know. Round 4, the finale. He skips out the next 2 rounds. Oh, look at that. Pouring rain. We'll have to see here what tyres are available. For some reason, the Mercedes garage, they've got Hypersoft tyres ready, just in case. Just in case the rain eases off in that time. You never know. As the great Murray Walker once said, anything can happen in Formula 1, and it normally does. Well, let's have a look-see. I mean, I haven't even posted the promo to Twitter. I mean, that's how intrigued I've been in this qualifying session. So I'm going to have to do that now. So talk amongst yourselves. But anyway, yes, the Canadian Grand Prix, named after the legendary Gilles Villeneuve, known for his particularly aggressive way that he used to attack in his Ferrari, his legendary Ferrari. And his first race win came at a Canadian Grand Prix. Out there, and just got a blank screen at the moment. Oh, unfortunately, Collingwood's left us. Collingwood left the session then. Well, he has classified as starting this race, I believe, has he? No, his McLaren's not appeared. His McLaren has not appeared on the grid, which means Collingwood goes down as a DNS. Oh, he'll be gutted about that one. He'll be absolutely gutted. Full wets then on the cars as they make their way now towards turn 3. Let's see then, no one opting for the intermediate tyre, no one chancing it at the moment. But yeah, I mean, the 2011 race went on for 4 hours. I hope that tonight's race doesn't go on for 4 hours. I kind of like my sleep. Aaron Collingwood has joined back into the session. I wonder if it's going to let him start the race. It's not letting me select him, so Oh, I don't know. I haven't been in a situation like this before. Francis is very eager to get this warm-up lap done and dusted. He's already pulled out a 3.8 second lead to Poe. If he can have a first lap like that during the race, he'll be absolutely ecstatic with that. And now he does actually wait up for the rest of them as they make their way now towards the hairpin. Maybe slowed up a little bit too much there, I think. However, he's now got the pack behind him, and now he's going to go at a snail's pace towards the start-finish line. And Poe disqualified from the session. This is where they all bunch up now and now try and warm up their tyres as best as they can, as Francis now floors it towards the start-finish line. Thank you for joining us tonight. I hope I'm going to do a good job. You never know, though. You never know. I have to do this promo very, very quickly, but as they make their way now around to the grid. Here we go. I've made a quick post in as they're perfectly now making their way onto the grid. We are here for TTG F1 for the Canadian Grand Prix. Can Francis do anything with this pole position? We will have to wait and see as we wait now to lights up on the start-finish line. All the drivers will be looking up at the gantry now, waiting for those 5 red lights. And here we go. It's 5 red lights. Round 2 is underway, and what are the starts like? Looks like it's a very slippery start, but it's a fantastic start from Francis then, as we head our way now down towards turn 1. Braking distances, of course, are increased as we head towards turn 2 now, and all the cars are just trying to file their way through. Have a look at that Toro Rosso of Vanquish. Big C just goes straight around the outside and moves up a couple of positions in the process. Now heading our way down towards turn 3 as the midfield come towards this section now. A little bit of contact there between the Toro Rosso and the Sauber ahead of him. That was Morn and Ollie, and looks like Ollie, oh, he's hit the wall. I thought we were going to see flashbacks of Hartley and Stroll there in the 2018 Grand Prix, but luckily we didn't. And Ollie's able to keep under control, but it looks like that front wing is damaged. He's lost a bit of downforce there. Whether that's just the tyres being cold or whether that is actually front wing damage, we'll have to wait and see. Lambo going up the inside of Morn in towards turn 8, and a great move from Lambo. Then he moves up a position. Meanwhile, behind him, Raikkonen is looking to put pressure on Morn now as we head towards that hairpin for the very first time. And Morn here tries to take a defensive line. Raikkonen now going around the outside. Looks like he has to try and get the traction down. Meanwhile, ahead of them, Onyx has got ahead of Poe. And I was just jokingly saying that if Francis had a first lap like that on the formation lap, he'll be in with a great shot. He's had exactly that lap. 2.5 seconds ahead now as he makes his way towards the start-finish line. Making our way now through this chicane for the very first time. Onyx brushing the wall of champions there. Big C sliding his way through. Side by side now, Onyx and Poe as they head towards turn 1 for the second time. Poe looking for the inside line. Onyx almost left the door open there and understeered in these tricky conditions. He has the inside line. Does he get the better traction on the run towards turn 3? Still side by side between those two as they head now downhill through turn 3 and 4. And Poe has now run wide. And look at that. White just goes straight through. Big C now sees an opportunity. Well, I would say he sees an opportunity, but he can't see a lot out there as he now heads towards turn 6 for the second time in this race. Couldn't quite get the move done there, but after lap 1, Francis led with Onyx in second and White in third. Poe is in fourth, Big C fifth, Vanquish sixth, Raikkonen, Lambo 7th, Raikkonen 8th, Morn 9th, Ollie 10th, Iceman in 11th, Ivan 12th, Charlie 13th, Alan K 14th, and unfortunately for Collingwood, he does not start this race. He disconnected just before the formation lap and therefore does not start this race. Poe then up the inside, making contact with White then. Front tyre on rear tyre. Poe then makes contact with what would be his teammate if we were running a Constructors' Championship, which we're not. It's just the drivers. So there are really no teammates as we make our way down towards the chicane for the second time this race. Francis 4.6 in the lead. The Renault's now battling down towards turn the chicane here. Yes, that's right, turn the chicane. Lambo up to 6th place, ahead of Vanquish now. As Francis once again sets the fast lap of the race, 122.1. There's Vanquish there, having to defend from Raikkonen behind him. And meanwhile, Big C looking to launch an attack on White ahead of him. Out of turn 2 they go. And look how treacherous these conditions are. You can barely see Poe ahead. He's only 2 cars ahead and you can barely see him, especially now. And these are treacherous conditions here. I'm glad I'm nice and dry in my commentary box here. as we head in towards turn 6 through turn 7. Big C might try a little bit of an undercut here through the corner to try and prioritise his exit. It's a little bit sideways on exit. That doesn't seem to affect him whatsoever. On the run towards turn 8, the Red Bull has the inside line. Through he goes, and then Big C takes 4th place away from the Renault of White ahead of him. White now drops down to 5th place, as maybe he's struggling here. Here comes Lambo now, locking up into the hairpin, and he gets up the inside. A little bit of contact between himself and White then, as they now try and go side by side, and White is losing valuable time here, battling away. He's actually losing positions as well, as there goes Lambo past White. And White here looks like this car's just not built for the straight lines at all here, as we head now down towards the chicane. That's the Toro Rosso who looked to try and got the inside. That's Vanquish there we're riding on board with. But no, he thought, no, I'm not going to do it. That's not the time. Look at these cars now making their way, single line formation, down towards turn 1 once again. Raikkonen thought about having a look at the inside of Vanquish as we make our way now in towards turn 2. He sees a gap opening up, tries to use the inside. A little bit of contact between himself and Vanquish there as we head towards turn 3, but Raikkonen does get the move done. Down the hill he goes through turn 4, and I think he actually tapped the wall there on the outside of turn 4. You've really got to be careful if you do that. Of course, you're using all the track, but use too much of it and it'll end your race. Lap 4 then, and Francis leads by almost 6 seconds then ahead of Onyx. It's Poe in 3rd, Big C 4th, Lambo in 5th. White seems to be struggling out there, currently running in 6th place. Raikkonen there you're seeing, going through your picture, is 7th place. Vanquish in 8th, Morn in 9th, Ollie 10th, Iceman 11th, Ivan 12th, Charlie in 13th, Alan K 14th. That's your running so far. Here comes Raikkonen down the inside at turn 10, looking to try and get at least half a car alongside. He has done, and can he try and get the power down? Looks like he's struggling a little bit. They come together. It's Raikkonen and White who come together then, and it looks like Vanquish wants to try and make that move done. He does, and now moves up to 7th place. Can he try and close in on Raikkonen? White won't be too impressed with that one because he's lost out big time. Here comes Morn now, up the inside at the chicane. Can he try and get the move done? Contact between the two of those, as they both tried to take that same corner. Going too wide in the dry there is a very bad idea, let alone the wet. Vanquish here heading towards turn 1, as we still see Morn and White battling here through turn 1 and then through turn 2. Just got to be a little bit careful here to time your moves. It is raining out here. There will be plenty of chances as we now head towards turn 3. And Morn here looks to want to get this job done. Of course, on the wet tyres, if it stays wet, expecting really only one stop at the moment. As we now make our way in towards turn 6 through turn 7. Another battle developing up ahead is between Big C and Lambo as they make their way now towards turns 8 and 9. Two Red Bulls, of course, not in the same constructor, if that makes any sense. They're only scoring points for themselves, so they won't really mind battling each other as they head now down towards turn 10. And you see there Lambo taking a different line to Big C through turn 10 there. You've got Morn as well, now making his way through the hairpin and then on towards the back straight, then looking to try and close in on White ahead of him. 3-second time penalty for Onyx then, as we now head on board with Morn heading into the chicane. And he's trying to chase down White here, who's lost out big time in these early stages. Lap 6 then, there is your race leader, Francis. 5.5 seconds ahead, but Onyx is actually closing the gap. He's got himself a 3-second time penalty though, so that will be added to the end of his race. He's just got to be careful from now on. Poe there in 3rd place, Big C in 4th. There's Lambo going through in 5th place. He's just lost a little bit of ground to his teammate, or not teammate if you like. Raikkonen in 6th place, Vanquish in 7th, and White is in 8th, Morn in 9th, Ollie 10th. Running right behind that Sauber, or he was anyway. And it looks like Ivan's in trouble towards the back here. Let's have a look. And he's onto the grass at turn 3. He's lost a bit of front wing on the right-hand side as well. And in these wet conditions, that's the last thing you want to do. So he loses the back end once again. Still got a bit of rubbish on his tyres there. Tried to go full throttle, and the car was just simply not having it whatsoever. And he is struggling for grip out there. There is damage to that Williams. It has been struck against the wall. Looks like right-hand side of that front wing. So he's going to have to come back to the pits and get that repaired. Unless he thinks he can stay out. But it looks too badly damaged to me. Won't once again through the chicane, and Poe now gets himself a 3-second time penalty. Oh, Big C's into the wall, and he's out of the Canadian Grand Prix. Big C in the Red Bull lost it on the exit of the Wall of Champions and finds himself out of the Canadian Grand Prix, and that could have been a potential championship rival. Top 3 in the standings at the moment out of this race. Meanwhile, Ollie here seems to be struggling once again. Iceman here looking to try and stay on the rear wing of Ollie as we make our way through turn 3 and 4. Up ahead as well, you've got Poe closing in on Onyx here as they're both heading towards turns 8 and 9. So difficult to see in these conditions as well. Anyone who drives with no HUD in these conditions have my full commendation. Making their way now towards the hairpin. Poe opting to stay in 6th gear, and of course these braking distances are increasing. It can catch you out if you're not careful. And McLaren there losing the back end. Poe losing the back end as well, trying to take advantage. And they run side by side, and it looks like Poe then gets the position as they now make their way down towards the chicane once again. But Onyx is not done here. Looking to go side by side now through the chicane. They make a little bit of contact there, and Onyx in the end has to back out of it. As Poe now gets 2nd place. Just stuck his nose in there. Got his elbows out as well, which is quite difficult to do in these Formula 1 cars. But he's held onto his position there, and Poe now moves up to 2nd place. Lambo will be looking at this battle with intent here. He's looking to try and get that 2nd place. Francis has completely run away with it at the moment. 7.8 seconds between himself and Poe in 2nd place. Onyx is now also struggling in these conditions here. I wonder... Oh, he's lost the back end! Onyx hits the wall and is out of the Canadian Grand Prix through turn 5. And the back end just had enough. He packed up for the day. And that is that. Onyx, who was running in 2nd place and looked comfortable over these last couple of laps, got closed in by Poe. And that is it. That is his race over. Becomes the 2nd retirement in this race then. And that's a reminder to all these drivers that you have to be so careful in these conditions. And it looks like the Marshals have got that car cleared away almost lightning speed there. So no safety car at the moment then. And that'll be a huge pain for Poe then. This is now 8.1 seconds behind Francis. Looking at these wet tyres then, as always, it looks like it's going to be a one-stop on these wet tyres. Basically split your race into half, so long as there's no weather changes. As there you can see, Francis 121.3. Let's see what that's like. 121.3 from Francis. That's a 121.8 from Poe. So that's half a second already on that lap alone that Francis has extended his lead by. And yeah, it's going to be quite difficult for these drivers in 2nd and 3rd to keep their heads down and try and chase down the leader. And Francis has a lot of pace. It's quite clear he has a lot of pace. I wonder if he's got a wet setup on and is hoping there's no dry conditions at all. Field is a little bit spread out at the moment, but Francis leads on lap number 9. Poe in 2nd. We've got Lambo in 3rd, Raikkonen 4th, Vanquish 5th, White in 6th, Morn in 7th, Ollie in 8th, Iceman in 9th, Charlie 10th, Alan Kay in 11th, and Ivan running in 12th place. Good idea to tell you now about there's a TTL Classics race coming up. Yes, it's only the 2nd race in the series. Shush. Hey, I'm slow at editing, okay? But yeah, if you have a look later on, I'm sure there'll be adverts about it. It's going to be broadcast as a premiere, so as live this coming Monday. So look out for it on social media at TTL_F1, and you'll be given all the updates there. Francis setting a new fast lap of the race, 121.0, I think that was. Let's have a check. Yeah, 121.0. So he's flying out there, Francis. Really having fun out there. Really enjoying these conditions. Heading now through turns 3 and 4. And also, why not? Plug. Why not? At KSMCG F1. If you'd like to follow me there on Twitter, I do tweet about race days and such the like. There might be even a bit of football in there. Who knows? But Francis looking very comfortable out there. Closest battles we've got at the moment between Raikkonen and Vanquish. Raikkonen currently running in 4th place. Vanquish in 5th. 1.7 is the gap between those two. And then the next battle seems to be Poe and Lambo, 2nd and 3rd place. Lots of battles in TTL F1 between these two. And now we come to TTG F1. And again, they're pretty much on the same bit of track. Andy in the chat then, France looking decent so far, nearly a second a lap, needs to keep his concentration up in these conditions though. It's very easy to lose that focus. It is indeed. And Andy also says, I know Alan Kay is running his first wet race without assist, so he's hoping for points with others dropping out. Well, he's currently running in 11th place at the moment, so it's not too bad for him at the moment. And yeah, the first wet race without any type of assist whatsoever is always the treacherous one. You just want to get to the end, and running 11th right now, he's only got another car to retire and he'll be into the points. He's already had Onyx, Big C retire, and Alan Collingwood not taking his starting position as a DNS that will go against his name. Ivan has been to the pits, put on a new set of wet tyres, and he's currently running in 12th place. But yeah, in terms of that strategy, looks like it's a simple one-stop, splitting your race into half, or if you want to try the undercut, you know, you're going to be looking at maybe 17 laps, 17, 18 laps on each of these tyres. To get yourself to the end of the race. It looks like 17 laps on one set of wets and then 18 laps on the other. That seems to be a good strategy when you're running here. But you can try lap 16. Obviously the pit window, I would say, would open around lap 15 and close on lap 19. That's sort of the wet window. There you go. That's a new phrase you can take away with you. A wet window. Lambo running in 3rd place, 2 seconds behind Poe. And again, these gaps just seem to be extending out a little bit. The field is getting a little bit more spread out. And I wonder if we check in on the championship right now. I wonder how things are going for everybody. Well, Lambo, championship leader at the moment, 25 points. He's got 12 points at the moment as it stands. That's going to be 37 points as Francis goes fastest once again, 120.9. Francis here hasn't scored any points in this season so far. So a good 25 will be exactly what he needs to take through to Austria next time around. Big C, 2nd place in the championship, retires from this one, and well, making a mistake at this sort of point in the championship where there's only 4 races in the series. It's going to be tough for him to bounce back from that one. Vanquish, 3rd place in the championship, currently 5th place out there on track. Oh, he loses that back end, a little bit of opposite lock into turn 3. That's the last place you really want opposite lock, unless it's through turn 5 where we saw Onyx lose the back end completely. But yeah, Vanquish at the moment scoring a healthy, 10 points. That will take him up to 25, so he'll jump Big C, that's for sure. We've got White out there, 6th place on track at the moment, 4th place in the championship, 8 points. That will take him up to 20 points, and again, that's still overtaking Big C in the championship. It's just now got to keep it on the track. Morn here, who is well, he's supposed to be in the McLaren. I think there's a bit of a mix-up here. But anyway, Morn is 5th place in the championship. So it looks like it's going to be... Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a good amount of points for him as well. 6 points that will be for Morn. So that will take him up to 16 points at the moment. Charlie, 6th place in the championship, now running in 10th place. A single point will be added to his race if it finishes like this. Which will take him up to 9 points. Collingwood, who's 7th in the championship, as we saw, did not start the race, so he'll be hugely frustrated with that, not getting a chance to basically get himself up the session. And Post left the session! His internet has let him down once again, and Lambo, this will be a very easy move to just go straight through him. And so Lambo gets up to 2nd place. That is heartbreaking for Poe at the moment. He'll be running around as a ghost car until he can rejoin the session. Meanwhile then, Raikkonen, looks like this will be a move to 3rd place as well, as they're making their way now towards turns 8 and 9. You can see how early that ghost car Poe breaks, and there you go, leaves him for dust. So Raikkonen now up to 3rd place, and the only place Poe's going now is backwards. Meanwhile, Francis, 11.5 seconds. Truly dominating now. And there he comes, into the pits he goes. And 13 laps on those tyres. That's a bit less than I was expecting. But in he stops. On go a new set of wet tyres. And oh, interesting pit strategy from the Mercedes crew. It looked like he almost spun the car coming out of the pits. Anyway then, Vanquish gets away past Poe. Obviously phases through, if you like. now up a position. That's going to be so frustrating for Poe. Here comes Francis, making his way now out onto track once again. And look at that, he'll rejoin in third place. Clear air behind him, clear air in front of him. A perfect pit stop from the Mercedes crew. Going through the rest of the standings, I was going to say Poe running in second place at the moment. Would have been great for his championship because he's only got 4 points at the moment. Jack, where is Jack? Well, Jack is Iceman now, I know that much. Currently running in 9th place. Well, he's pretty much at the same position he's in the championship. Another 2 points will go quite well to his name. That will take him up to 4 points. And then Ollie, who's currently running in 8th place at the moment. 9 seconds behind Morn at the moment. But there is a car behind him. It's the Williams of Ivan, that's why. I thought there was a car behind him, but like no one's near Ollie at the moment. He's 9 seconds behind the next car, and Iceman's 6 seconds behind. I thought, who is that car? Oh, Ollie into the wall there. Almost losing the rear tyre there. Managing to just keep his car undamaged there. Looks undamaged anyway as he heads towards the hairpin. But that's the point scorers so far. And has anybody not scored a point that is currently in the top 10? It's Raikkonen at the moment. Second place. Didn't score any points last time out. Currently running in second. As Ollie now makes his way down towards the chicane. Good battle to watch here. Raikkonen and Francis. Francis on fresh wet tyres. Raikkonen in second on used wet tyres. They're 14 laps old. So as it stands then, looking to try and get away past Ivan, picks up a 3-second time penalty. Making their way now down towards turn 8. Oh, Raikkonen getting so close to that inside barrier there. Almost taking that front wheel off as yellow flags in sector 1. I wonder who that is. So Alan Kay's in sector 3, so it's not him. I thought it would have been someone maybe at the back of the field. But yeah, Francis third place, looking at the back of Raikkonen. Meanwhile, Iceman has got away past Ollie. Was it Ollie who caused the yellow flags in sector 1? Yeah, now there's damage to that front wing. It was Ollie who caused that yellow flag. So he's now falling down the field. Meanwhile, Francis here knows he's got that advantage to Raikkonen. That whole pit stop advantage anyway. Here he goes then, down the inside, 120.6, new fastest lap. Heading into turn 2, and it looks like there he's going to defend that inside line. Raikkonen will try and have a go back at him, but he can't quite do it. Yellow flag's now in sector 3. I wonder who that's going to be. No, I'm not quite sure. There is someone. Yeah, there is someone there. Is that? Oh, it's Ivan. Okay. I wondered who it was. I could hear an engine idling at low revs, but I couldn't quite work out where it was coming from, as Ivan has now retired from the session. That was Alan Kay doing a little bit of rallycross there. Ollie picks up a 5-second stop go for speeding in the pit lane. That's going to be added to his end of the race, and Ollie there just retiring from the race altogether and saying he's had enough. Ivan now gone as well, so those will put the yellow flags in sector 3 there. So that's the end of both of their days, and well, look at that. Alan Kay will now go up to 10th place. He's got that was the Toro Rosso of Vanquish behind him. So now heading into the hairpin. Once he passes the pit lane, he'll be ahead of Ollie and into the points. Lambo is currently leading the race then, as well, he misses the second part of that chicane, and that is Francis now on the attack. Look at that, just ate away half a second through that chicane alone as we make our way now down towards turn 1. Heading now on the exit of turn 2. On the run now towards turns 3 and 4. And look at this, 9/10 now as Morn comes into the pits. Only the second person to make that scheduled stop. But at the moment here, Francis looking good. He's got to keep those tyres in good nick because he did stop on lap 13. That was a couple of laps earlier than I thought he was going to. Making our way now down towards turns 8 and 9. And it's just here he's got to make sure he keeps an eye on those tyres and make sure they keep going to the end of the race. Here he goes then. Is he going for a move up the inside? A Lambo. Lambo gives him the room then as Francis goes up the inside. A little bit of wheel banging there. as they make their way through, but Lambo's able to hold on the exit of turn 10. Francis now in the slipstream as they look now down towards the chicane. Going too wide through here, are you sure, lads? And Lambo goes straight on into the pit lane there, battling in, and yeah, he makes sure that he battles Francis all the way to the pit lane entrance. So Francis then retakes the lead of the Canadian Grand Prix. I know someone's asking if Poe got back into the session, but he's running as Ghost. He's not there at the moment, so I don't know whether he's packed it up for the day. But Alan Kay will be looking at that as he's currently a little bit of a way back at the moment, running wide at turn 1. Of course, it is his first race, no assists in these treacherous conditions. He's going to find it tough out there. Meanwhile, White has got up to 4th place. He's yet to stop in this race, though. And of course, because it's wet tyres, you don't actually have to stop. You don't have to stop. So if someone can make it to the end, and without puncturing their tyres, then so be it. You can give it a go. And well, Poe is there in the chat saying he's experiencing a power cut of all times. Why do they have to cut your power now? So I highly doubt he's going to make his way back into the race anytime soon. So that's unfortunate for Poe. We'll see if he can rejoin in the next sort of 20 minutes, because that's pretty much all we've got left at the moment in this race. But we're just past the halfway point then, as Francis starts lap number 19 with the fastest lap of the race once again, a 1:20.4. There you can see Raikkonen closing in, and White actually comes into the pits, and Raikkonen there gets a 5-second stop go for exceeding track limits. So that's a pretty harsh penalty there, but the stewards are obviously clamping down on it through the chicane. And Raikkonen there, well, that will be added to his next pit stop if he makes one. If not, it'll be added to the end of his race. Vanquish still yet to stop in this race, and like I said, you don't actually have to stop in this race. The mandatory stop rule actually, means that you can basically run to the end on these wet tyres if you really wanted to. It's possible at tracks like Monaco because you're covering less distance, but around Canada, where you're looking at covering more than 150 kilometres, which of course then you've got the double speed on the wear, if you like, so you're actually covering over 300 kilometres. It's going to be more difficult. However, I'd like to see it tried. I wonder. Well, Charlie and Alan Kay have come into the pits then. They're on now a new set of wet tyres, as is White. But yeah, I have no idea. Nexus looks like Nexus Iceman looks like he's the only, or Vanquish as well, looks like the only people out there who are going to stay out on the wet tyres. I wonder if they're going to try and make it to the end. That'll be interesting. I'm going to spice it up. As there you go, Vanquish actually going a 10th quicker than his previous best lap. A little bit of oversteer out of turn 1 there. Lambo setting the fastest lap of the race, 1:20.1 at the moment. So currently the fastest person out there as he makes his way now towards turn 3. There you go, 20 laps in, and I finally had a chance to pause for a drink. That's how much action there's been. As we head now towards turn 6 and 7 with Lambo we're watching here. And Alan Kay now gets a 5-second stop go for exceeding track limits. As he makes way towards the line, 1:30.3 on that lap. Well, I commend him for sticking it out there, getting absolutely soaking wet. But at the moment, he's on course to score a point. And why wouldn't you stay in the race at that point? I feel like I said point a lot in that series. But there we go. Francis now goes and laps the ghost car of Poe. And I know he's watching on 4G right now, because that's the only way he's able to keep going. 1:19.8 from Francis. But at some point that was invalidated. Probably a track limits warning at some point on the lap. Vanquish comes in then. Oh, that's unfortunate. I thought maybe he might go to the end, but no, not on this occasion. So it's just Iceman now on a set of wet tyres, the step of wet tyres he started on. He makes his way now down the back straight. Will he come in, I wonder? making his way now towards that pit lane entrance. I wonder, will he, won't he, come into the pit lane? And he will. He will come into the pit lane. So everyone has made at least one stop in this race. That's unfortunate. I thought someone was going to try it, but well. You can't win them all, can you? There is your race leader then. Francis leads the Canadian Grand Prix by 15.8 seconds to Lambo behind him, but 5 laps is the gap, is the age difference, or 4 laps I should say, is the age difference between those two tyres at the moment. Raikkonen in 3rd. There's Vanquish in 4th. Oh, getting a little wide on the exit of turn 9 there. I've been there before, that's for sure, in the dry, let alone the wet. And here, making his way now towards the hairpin, currently 5th place. There's White in 6th place, making his way towards turns 6 and 7. There's Iceman doing the same now. 3.1 separates himself and White. He's on a brand new set of wet tyres. There's Poe's Ghost Kart. If it stays as a ghost as he crosses the checkered flag, then his points will not count wherever he finishes. Charlie then in 9th, 18.5 seconds behind Poe. And Alan Kay then, half a minute behind Charlie. But yeah, he's first race running, no assists at all in these treacherous wet conditions. We've got Andy, of course, in the live chat, I should say. I don't know why my voice is breaking so much. We've got him in the live chat, so he's definitely watching. Hello, Andy. He's my Ted Kravitz. There you go. It's bringing me extra details from the pit wall. I like it. We've got Ivan in the chat saying hello. Hello, Ivan. Good to have you with us, and I hope you're enjoying the TTG F1 stream. We're about to start lap 23, which means we'll have 13 laps to go here at the Canadian Grand Prix, and it is Francis who leads the way down towards turn 1. Francis now actually gets a 3-second time penalty. That must have been at turns 1 and 2 there, because there's no other place he could have got that. There is Lambo making his way now down towards turn 1, 120.9 on that lap. He's got Raikkonen who's closing in behind him, as they now make their way down towards turns 3 and 4. But Raikkonen looking to try and make this as awkward as possible for Lambo ahead of him. As it stands then, Francis leads, Lambo 2nd, Raikkonen 3rd, Vanquish 4th, Morning 5th, White 6th, Iceman 7th, Poe in 8th, although he is running his ghost car, Charlie in 9th, and Alan Kay rounds out the points at the moment in 10th. In this race we lost Ollie and Ivan, who retired from the menu. Onyx crashed out big time at turn 5, completely lost the back end, and into the wall he went, and we lost Big C at the Wall of Champions, or maybe just after. He didn't crash at the Wall of Champions, he crashed on the left hand side just after it on the exit, so we lost him there. And Aaron Collingwood did not start this race. He was disconnected before, or as the formation lap just started, which meant he could not start the race. So we are down to 10 runners at the moment in these tricky conditions, and to be honest with you, it looks like it's going to stay wet for the rest of the race. We did have Alan Kay, our weatherman, saying in the chat beforehand that it was pretty much going to stay wet for the entire race. And Lambo here, you can see, is under a little bit of pressure from the Williams behind. You can see him moving over to the left-hand side, preemptively to try and defend against Raikkonen behind him. And as they exit now towards turns 3 and 4, Raikkonen just looking to turn up the pressure a little bit. Heading down the hill now. 9/10 of a second. Of course, in these very treacherous conditions, there is no DRS. So they've got to use the slipstream here, and they've got to use their racing lines to try and find a way past. Exit of turn 7 there for Raikkonen. Maybe losing that back end slightly. Cost him a little bit of time. You can see that gap opening up once again as we head in towards turns 8 and 9. Raikkonen really playing it so close to that barrier on the left hand side, just on the entry of turn 8. As we head now in towards the hairpin, riding on board with Raikkonen in 3rd place. As you can see, the gap's now opening up. Francis into the pits. Francis in the pits here. Looks like it's a 2-stop on those wet tyres. So Lambo now will happen here? Well, Francis will be on brand new wet tyres as he makes his way down the pit lane. Lambo then will take the race lead. I wonder if Francis... Well, it's 15 seconds that gap was, so that's normal. That's a normal pit stop time. And there you can see, now he rejoins behind Lambo. Maybe he wanted a bit of action. Or maybe the two-stop was the plan all along. Heading now down through the chicane. Yeah, lap 25. That seemed to be a strategy from the start then. Just to try and go for a two-stop. Making our way now towards the chicane of turn 6 and then through turn 7. So Lambo takes over the lead of this race then. 11 laps to go, 10.5 of your picky. And Lambo on 7-lap old tyres. Now Francis has the tyre advantage. Look at that, Lambo running wide on the entrance of turn 8. And that is going to alert Francis here. And Raikkonen behind as well will be licking his lips and looking to try and take advantage. Francis locking up onto the entrance at turn 10. You can see there, Lambo saw the red arrows on his right-hand side and left the room. Alan Kay exceeding track limits again and gets himself another 5-second stop-go penalty. Francis in the slipstream of Lambo then as we make our way towards the chicane. Surely not again, he's going to try it. He looked about it, he thought about it, but couldn't quite make that move stick. Maybe on the exit now of the chicane. Raikkonen behind getting a 3-second time penalty. Will Francis have a look down the inside at turn 1? He goes for it up the inside. Contact made between the two of them. Francis now has to go around the outside. And Lambo will try and defend the racing line to just try and park it on the apex as we now head towards turn 3. And now Francis has to try and find a way past. 10 laps to go here. And Francis trying to extract everything out of those set of tyres and really put the pressure on Lambo. You got Raikkonen behind as well, looking to take advantage of any mistake either of those two make. Francis just struggling to keep that back end in check on the exit of turn 7 as we make our way towards turns 8 and 9. As you can see there, Francis taking a little bit too much curb on the left hand side. That might have given him a warning, depending on how he's taken that. Francis here now towards turn 10. Oh, locks up. Eves is braking late and actually clips the back of the Red Bull there. I'm surprised if he won't have any damage from that whatsoever. But down the back straight then, he's got ahead. And Lambo here in the slipstream of Francis. We make our way now towards the chicane. He looks right. Does he go for it? No, he thinks better of it. There's no point diving down the inside at the chicane as Lambo now picks up a 3-second time penalty. Raikkonen behind these two will be looking to take advantage. Down towards turn 1 then. Francis still holds on to the lead then, as he's got a compromised line into turn 2. Lambo will be trying to fight that car to try and take advantage, but he can't quite do it. He knew the limitations of that car, but just couldn't quite get the power down as early as he wanted. And well, now he's down to second place. Still in with a shout though of trying to win this race. It will have to be on penalties though. And unfortunately I can't look at the penalties right now because it's only me here and nobody wants to see a telemetry screen. Especially when we've got action out on track. As we've got Raikkonen here looking closely to the back of that car. And looking to try and take advantage whenever he can. As we head now towards turn 10. Can he try and find that way past? Not at the moment, he can't. But looking to prioritise the exit of turn 10 as we make our way now down the back straight. As you can see, Francis now just trying to gallop away in the distance in these treacherous conditions. It really has been treacherous conditions the entire race as Raikkonen just takes out the 100-metre board. That's all three of them gone now, the 50, 100 and 150-metre boards. And I know Alan Kay in the past has expressed his... well, what's the word I should say for it? It's his worry for people when they take out the braking boards because it means he doesn't know where to brake. His words, not mine. But yeah, he'll have some troubles now heading down towards the chicane because now the 100-metre board is gone. So that's the last of it. So he's got to try visual reference points other than the braking boards. As Raikkonen still trying to chase down Lambo for second place. Lap 28 out of 35. It means we have 8 laps to go. Francis leads. Lambo second. Raikkonen third. Vanquish there running in 4th place. Morn is running in 5th with White in 6th. Iceman there heading through the hairpin. He's in 7th. Charlie in 8th. Poe is a ghost car in 9th. And Alan Kay running in 10th place at the moment. As Francis now heads towards the hairpin. leading them both, Lambo and Raikkonen, into the hairpin. That's the Ferrari there of, I believe, Alan Kay. And I don't know why there's any doubt about that, because Alan Kay is the only Ferrari, so there you go. Still, Francis leads 1.5 seconds, separates himself and Lambo as he misses the second part of the chicane. And has he lost any time? He has. But look at this. Lambo still under pressure from Raikkonen behind. He's closed on Francis a little bit down towards turn 1. But not as much as maybe he thought he would. Just careful on the exit of turn 2 here. Up the hill and then down it through turns 3 and 4. And that Williams of Raikkonen will be looking very closely at the back of Lambo as we head now through turn 5. We saw Onyx here lose the back end completely going through turn 5. Hit the wall and that was his race over. Oh, Raikkonen losing that back end on the exit of turn 7 there. Very lucky to actually keep it composed and under control, that car, because it definitely want him to spin him around. We've got yellow flags in sector 2 as Raikkonen collects the wall on the right hand side. Has he got any damage from that, I wonder? I think he's got away with any damage at the moment. But we had yellow flags in sector 2. White picked up a 3-second time penalty. We've now got yellow flags in sector 1. Can't quite work out who that is. Oh, it's Charlie, who's lost a bit of front wing on the right hand side. With 7 laps to go. And Francis has a 5-second stop go for exceeding track limits. That's through the chicane. So that will be added now. And Raikkonen now has a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. So these top 3 have got to be careful here. If they rack up too much, Vanquish behind them might say thank you very much. 6 laps to go then. Francis leads. Lambo is in second. Raikkonen with a couple of mistakes in that last lap, and he's tapped the wall there on the exit of turn 4. And he's got to be careful now. He's got to get that car to the end. 1.4 separates himself and Lambo at the moment. As we make our way now down towards turns 8 and 9. If you hear those tyres squealing into turn 8, through turn 9 we go. Riding on board with the Williams of Raikkonen. That's a weird one to say. As we head now towards the braking zone of turn 10, this hairpin here, as Raikkonen locks up those front tyres. Looks like he got away with it though on entry. And now can prioritise the exit of turn 10 as we run down the back straight towards turn 12 and 13, I believe that is, off the chicane. This man-made island here has almost been flooded with the amount of the amount of water on track as Raikkonen picks up another 3-second time as he gets onto the grass again. He is really pushing that car, but at the same time he's making too many mistakes to take advantage. He might be quicker than Lambo out on track, but at the moment these mistakes are costing him. There comes Charlie out of the pits with a new front wing attached. 5 laps to go here and Francis leads, but with the penalties applied, this could be anybody's race. Now I wonder if it was a wise move from Francis. I mean, hindsight is a wonderful thing. Hindsight is always 20/20. But Francis's 2 stops here, you know, it's made him push as hard as he can. And Alan Kay, the Ferrari, have gone for the intermediate tyres. Well, I don't know. Can't say I agree with that call. However, Alan Kay's gone for it, and we'll see how much grip there is coming out of the pit lane. Let's see, heading now towards turn 1. Let's see how little grip there is out there. And the outside will provide a little bit more grip for Alan Kay. But yeah, very gentle on the throttle there. As he now makes his way out onto track and towards turns 3 and 4. Let's see here. Well, actually, there might be a little bit more grip than I expected out there on these inters. Obviously, intermediates 1:19.7 by the way from Francis. So actually, Alan Kay might not have a bad call here. Yellow flags in sector 1. They are clear now. As Iceman 7th place. Well, he's now lapped Poe. So that is that's huge then. Here's White running the ball in 6th place at the moment. Francis here still leading the way. That is Lambo in second. It's Ryan in third. Vanquish in fourth. Morn there is in fifth place. White in sixth. Iceman in seventh. Poe is in eighth at the moment, still running as a ghost car. Charlie ninth. Alan K in 10th. And Francis once again has yet another 3-second time penalty. Yellow flag sector 3. We'll see what that's all about. Whatever it was, it's gone now. So we're back under full course green. So Francis still leading. Lambo leads Raikkonen in second place by 1.3 seconds. As we make our way now down towards that chicane. Through they go then, and Lambo still trying to pull away, and Raikkonen again onto the grass. That is not helping him one bit to try and close in on Lambo. He's just making too many mistakes out there, and it is costing him at the moment. He's got to rebuild that composure and just do his best here to keep it on that island as much as possible. Let's just have a quick check in on Alan Kay. He's on those intermediate tyres at the moment. Clips the wall on the outside there on entry. Yeah, I don't think it's quite ready for intermediates. I like the idea. I like the tenacity to say, yeah, you know what, I'm going on inters, but unfortunately I think it's just too early. Lambo here, second place, still under pressure from Raikkonen behind him. And what Francis will want now is for those two cars to start battling away with each other. The more they battle, the bigger the gap he can build. And the bigger the gap he can build, the less time and the less effect those penalties will have on his final race time. Raikkonen riding on board with him now, a second behind. As we head now down towards the final two corners, through the chicanes we go. Lambo goes through, and then so does Raikkonen. And Raikkonen's disqualified! Disqualified from the race for multiple penalties. And the Williams here receives the black flag. And that is his race done and dusted. So that's Vanquish then up to third place. This is what I was talking about here. You've got to be careful. Those penalties come back to bite Vanquish here. And Francis now, that's a warning sign. He will have seen that Raikkonen would have got disqualified. And now he'll seriously reconsider exceeding those track limits. Lambo too. I don't think he's got as many as Lambo. Lambo hasn't got as many penalties as Lambo. There you go. There's a Kieranism. That's one to keep with you. But I'm pretty sure he hasn't got as many as Francis then. 4.5 seconds now. Lambo can solely focus on the car ahead of him. With that, that promotes Vanquish up to third place. Morn then is in fourth, White fifth, Iceman sixth, Charlie seventh, Poe eighth as a ghost car, which means he won't score those points, and Alan Kay now up to ninth place. Francis then making his way along the back straight and towards the chicane. Francis there has certainly had the pace, but will his penalties cost him towards the end then? Francis starts the final lap of the race in the lead, and will he end it there then, heading through turns 1 and 2 then? Let's stay with Francis as long as we can on this lap. 4.9 is the gap at the moment. We don't know what the penalties are like for Francis. We don't know what they're like with Lambo. We know what they were like with Raikkonen, because that means he's disqualified from the race. Alan Kay moves aside to let the Mercedes through then, and that is what those yellow flags are. That was just Alan Kay letting the Mercedes through. As Francis now makes his way on the short run towards turns 8 and 9, getting slightly onto the grass there. That's not going to help the tyres too much. As we now head to the braking zone, turn 8, and then through turn 9. Watching those curbs now, he's got to be careful. He doesn't want any more penalties than he's already got here. On the run towards turn 10. And can Francis score some points here and put himself in contention as we head to Austria next week? On the throttle then, 5.4 is the gap, as we now make our way down the back straight towards that final chicane for the final time. Francis just has to keep it out of that wall of champions for the final time as we make our way now through the chicane. Francis heads towards the line. The checkered flag comes out. Francis crosses the line first. And will he be able to keep that race win? Here comes Lambo towards the line. Can he try and steal the win? Yes, he can. Lambo then wins the Canadian Grand Prix, and Francis loses out by 5, well, it's about 9 seconds, the gap between those penalties. So Lambo able to jump Francis then and take a race win. Vanquish here, I don't think he was expecting to be on this podium at all as we head through the final chicane, but he'll certainly take this one. Vanquish here continues his podium streak. He crosses the line in 3rd place. And he keeps that car on the island. That's all he really needed to do. Alan Kay, by the way, 9th place he finished, scoring those points. Iceman 6th, Charlie in 7th. Poe, of course, doesn't score those points as he finished up as a ghost car due to an unfortunate power cut where he is. Morn crosses the line then in 4th place in the Sauber. And then White making his way towards the final chicane for the final time. Just has to avoid that wall of champions, and he will do here as he heads towards the line. He will cross the line in 5th place in the Renault. Well, that's a nice sight to see. But that is your race winner. Lambo wins the Canadian Grand Prix. Well then, there they are. Nice and dry actually after that one. Rained throughout the entire thing. But Lambo then finishes ahead of Francis on penalties. And it'll be interesting to see how many penalties there actually were. So then, here come your official, unofficial results for that Canadian Grand Prix here in TTG F1. Lambo wins the race. He only had one 3-second time penalty. Francis had 14 seconds worth of time penalties, and that was the difference. Those 11 seconds have come back to haunt Francis. He finishes though in 2nd place. Vanquish then in 3rd, Morn in 4th, White in 5th, Iceman 6th, Charlie in 7th. Poe finishing in the ghost car means he will not score those points. Alan K 9th there. Ollie, Ivan, Onyx, Big C, Raikkonen did not finish the race, and then Aaron Collingwood did not start it. Big shout out then to Lambo, 12th to 1st. What a drive from Lambo as he takes the race win here. And as you can see, pretty much with Francis, no one could even challenge his fast as that. 1:19.7 on a set of wet tyres. Well, that was pretty good. But that will bring an end then to the TTG F1 race here in Austria. Make sure you tune in next week for Austria round number 3. It'll be next Thursday, where I believe it will just be me again in the box. Make sure you tune in next Tuesday as well to join the commentary team there to covering the Austrian Grand Prix. You can watch me race if you like, but no promises I'll finish on the podium or anything. Also, make sure you do subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow TT Gaming Esports on Twitter. That is their Twitter handle. You can also follow me whilst you're there as well at KSMCGF1. Well, thank you very much for joining me on this round 2. Round 3 is, of course, next week. I hope to see you there. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Kieran McGinley. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.